Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton, and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, we're having a great time. Spring is here. I don't know about you. I feel younger every minute, I think. I just try to shut out all that background noise and just let it go and enjoy God's green earth. And it's beautiful. In fact, as I'm talking right now, there's a little bunny on my front yard eating my perfect little grass. I think I'll go out and shoot him. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't, but I might put some garlic salt on it. Anyway, here we go, folks. We are going to talk about an interesting subject today. This is a subject that I have toyed with in my brain over and over and over in the work that I do. For those of you that are new to the show, this show is called Exploited Crimes and Technology, and it is brought to you by Million Kids, Million. We're not 1 million, we're not 10 million, we're just simply Million Kids. We were named that because more than 1 million kids are trafficked each year throughout the world. And you're hearing a lot today about human trafficking in the news. And I sometimes talk about the border crisis and how that is impacting. I did that a week or two ago. And I probably will do that again next week. But for today, I want to talk about your kids, our grandkids. And when a minor is exploited online, who is responsible? Is it the app company? Is it the parent? Is it the kid? Who is it, is it the government? Who is responsible when a young person gets violated online? So to give you a little background, I have been training on human trafficking, sex trafficking, labor trafficking, sextortion, social media exploitation, child pornography, money laundering, cryptocurrency, all of that for years and years and years. I am known for my many, many tens and tens of thousands of hours of research. And I always kid, I used to look like that person on the back of my book before I did this craziness. But anyway, but I have often, as I see a case that just tears my heart apart, and I'm involved often with real cases. For over 10 years now, I've been the training and outreach coordinator for the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. That is ran by the Riverside County Sheriff Department and Sheriff Chad Bianco, who I happen to believe is doing a dynamite job. He has my vote for what it's worth. I only see the results of this as his organization has really focused on protecting kids and keeping kids safe from predators, which is our motto at Million Kids. I have often said, I look over at LA and I think, oh my gosh, what a crazy, crazy thing that's going on over there, because they took $150 million out of the police budget. This is at the same time that our sheriff is doubling the size of our human trafficking task force. We now have a task force dedicated out to the desert and one here in the Inland Empire. And I so much appreciate that. It's all we can do to keep up with supporting them for what they're worth. But these are some amazing men and women who do what it takes to protect our families and our kids from sex trafficking. We also have organizations called the Spider Group. I just really got acquainted with them this last week over the Sheriff Department that handles online sextortion cases. And that's what I want to talk about today. We have a new case that was announced. By the way, first of all, I'd like you to join Million Kids. Go to millionkids.org and sign up right there. There's no charge. And yeah, we'll send you something maybe 3 times a week, maybe 5 if we're having a busy week. But we won't harass you at all. Every now and then I meekly pray for money and donations. I need to get a lot better at that for what we do. But this is an important service that we offer. We offer something called insider alerts. And this one is that I'm telling you about today. I'm just about to make an insider alert on it. I haven't done it yet, but about 2 to 4 times a week, I do an email blast, and it goes out, and we talk about the latest cases. We talk about the new technologies that are coming out, and we're going to get into that subject in a big way in this show. We talk about trends that are happening. For instance, what's happening in the border crisis, and how does that affect us right here in the Inland Empire? Many of you that listened a week or two ago know that we had a good-sized case bust right here in the Inland Empire out of Riverside in San Bernardino County and also Ventura County. And it was a family ring ran by a matriarch down in Mexico who had a daughter and a son and a granddaughter. And they brought in all these unaccompanied minor girls. And those girls were put out into businesses that this family operated, skincare businesses, massage parlors, and like that. And they were making a lot of money. And when they were doing that, what happened is they were making that money and laundering it through a dress shop out of Colton, California. And so, this is not, we're not immune in this community. This is happening right here where we are, and it's taking place in our community. And I'm very proud of our law enforcement in San Bernardino and Riverside that worked with Ventura. It was interesting. It was discovered out of a massage parlor in Ventura where these girls were being put out for commercial sex. And yet we find out that it was actually owned by people here in the Inland Empire. And the money laundering was taking place right here in the Inland Empire. So these are big cases. They're very important cases, and to let you know. So that's why you want to go to millionkids.org and sign up for Insider Alert. Well, we have a new case here on Monday, March 22nd. Members of the Riverside County Task Force, we lovingly call that word RCAT, unless you're dyslexic, and then you can call it ratchet. Anyway, they did an undercover operation for soliciting sex of a minor online and through social media platforms. During the operation, the members of law enforcement posed as a 13-year-old female. So this tells me they don't do this randomly. They had some case where somebody had connected with somebody, and they went in and took over the account and started working with this pedophile to try to determine who it was. That is the best way to get a pedophile off the street. If your child is being blackmailed or sending photos or being solicited for online sex, then it needs to be reported. And I will give you that information before the end of this. But they need to be reported. So what happened is they ended up arresting 35-year-old Romero Rodriguez out of Thousand Palms. He had initiated an online conversation with what he thought was a 13-year-old female with the idea of meeting up for a sexual encounter. So during the conversation, Rodriguez arranged to meet the online decoy. This tells me the police had come in, taken over the account. He doesn't know that he's no longer talking to the 13-year-old. He's really talking to an undercover officer, and he has it with the intent to commit a lewd act with that person. So they went out, they arrested him when he arrived in Palm Desert, and they were arresting him for attempting to meet who he believed is a 13-year-old minor to engage in lewd acts. He has been transported to the John Benoit Detention Center in Indio. Here's the thing. The Riverside County Task Force is asking anyone with additional information to contact the RCAT Task Force investigator, and that is, ask for Julio there, Julio, and phone number is 760-836-1600. Or you can call anonymously if you want to do that at 760-341-7867, and just ask for Julio and tell him that it has to do with Romero Rodriguez, and you can report. They are looking for other victims. It is not uncommon for this kind of case to have a lot more victims. These guys are never happy with just one. That's why when I talk to kids and you're playing online and you're thinking he's great, what you need to know is he's playing a numbers game, and he probably has 45 more just like you that he's trying to seduce. These guys are forming large-scale rings. Sometimes they have hundreds and thousands of victims if there's multiple ones involved. In this case, we don't know that that's true, so I'm not going to accuse him of it. But what you do need to know is, that he probably has other victims. He didn't just wake up today and say, oh, I think I'll talk to that 13-year-old. They have a way of going out online. They play on certain hashtags on Instagram. They look for words written down, and we'll get deep into it in the next section. But it's usually something like, I just broke up with my boyfriend, or mom and dad are fighting again. And that's an open door, and he drives a truck through it and says, hello, baby, let's meet. And that's how it happens. My name is Opal Singleton, and we're up against that break. Be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, there are many good restaurants in the Inland Empire, but really great restaurants are hard to find. Let me tell you about the Toasted Barrel in Corona. It's a trendy, upscale steakhouse with great pasta and seafood. It's a fantastic choice for birthdays and anniversaries or just that special night out with your loved one and friends. Inland Empire magazine has awarded them Best Restaurant and Brunch for the past 3 years. The owners, Ed and Shirley, are friendly and attentive to your needs. If you're a prime rib connoisseur, this place is for you. Go ahead and try it out. The Toasted Barrel, located at 1300 El Sobrante Road in Corona. Or Google them at Toasted Barrel to make reservations. I guarantee you, you're going to love it. Be sure and tell Ed and Shirley that Opal sent you. It will be a night you'll never forget.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, the president and CEO of Million Kids. And I appreciate each and every one of you that get involved and support our organization and order our books and participate in some of our trainings. I so much appreciate that. It's been a wild and crazy life lately. You know, I've done this 12 years now, and it seems like it's getting worse, not better. We got all this stuff at the border going on, and you have all of these kids that are online learning and sending off naked photos when nobody's looking, and you're just like, holy cow. Well, I want to continue on this conversation because I want to remind you, if you know anybody or anything about the case of Romero Rodriguez out in Thousand Palms, he was picked up for attempting to meet up with a minor for the intention of having a sexual encounter. These are not unusual. It's really, really crazy what happens online with kids. You know, the thing that is happening here, and I'll just kind of share my own perspective because I've been involved in so many cases. Kids are not bad kids, okay? Now, there are kids that are very adventuresome and willing to take great risks. But when I talk with kids in schools, and I do that regularly, I will share with you, I very few kids I've met really ever want to be exploited. They all think they're going to know a predator when they see one, but of course they really don't. And in the meantime, they like to take chances and like that. But we are putting our kids in a global adult environment without really explaining to them how all of this works. And so this is why I've often, when I read a case like this, I mean, it ended well because somewhere along the line, the 13-year-old, whoever the person was that or the minor that contacted police and allowed the police to intervene, they were able to be protected. But all too often, what happens is that, in fact, University of Florida did a research study before COVID where they believe that 9,000 kids a day in America are sending a naked photo. And the University of Toledo, Ohio, says that at least 58% of those kids that are being blackmailed. Let me get that number correct. I didn't get that right. 18,000 kids a day are sending a naked photo. University of Florida said that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed, and University of Toledo, Ohio, said that 58% of the kids that are being blackmailed won't tell. They think they can go out and get that photo back, or they think that maybe it'll go away, and their behavior will change, by the way. Usually what happens is they become very secretive. They may put one of those ghost apps on their phone so mom and dad didn't see the correspondence. Usually it's like a calculator. If you see a calculator on your kid's phone, they're not adding and subtracting, okay? Ask them for the password so you can see what's going on inside their phone. And never, ever apologize for that, by the way. I mean, it's your phone, and you gave it to them because you trust them, but you trust and verify. That's what parents do. It isn't just leaders of world countries, okay? So anyway, that usually what will happen then is the kids' behavior will change. They kind of shut down. They maybe become hyperactive. Maybe they become highly emotional. They may start cutting. They may start running away. They can't sleep. They start coming up with reasons they can't go to school, and their behavior will change. And by the way, it is some very, very smart kids that get into this, and they're tricked. They're like a mouse who ate the cheese and the thing snapped, and that's how it is. And they need our help. First of all, they need our help to help them understand why they never, ever want to do that again, okay? I share with kids, even if you're sending it to someone that you love with all your heart and you've been together 2 years, if it is on the internet, there is nothing private on the internet. We are holding app companies responsible for their content. And so therefore, they have developed technology that goes through every posting, every email, every text, every live stream that is out there, every photo. Yes, they can even get into drop boxes. And so, nothing you send on the internet is private. And a lot of hackers can get into your account. So even if you're sending it to someone you trust, the minute you send that photo, you're in a blackmail prison. Maybe you don't know it yet. Maybe they haven't contacted you. Maybe they never will, but you don't know. And you will be in the prison of the unknown until you become the prisoner of the known. And it's that simple. And we really have to share this with kids. When I sit down with kids or do an assembly of 400 or 500 kids, that's always tricky at my age. I think, holy cow, what are we doing here? Talking to 500 kids about sex and trying to keep them entertained for an hour, but get their attention without scaring the socks off of them. They need to understand where naked photos go when you hit send. In fact, most of you know I'm making a movie about that. I'm not. Stephen Peake, the producer, is, but them and Giving University that help fund that. And I greatly appreciate the people that do that. It will be a full-fledged movie coming out, hopefully, in a couple of months. We're way overdue already, but COVID has slowed this down. So I want to get back to this discussion. If a minor is exploited online, Who is responsible? Is it the app company? Is it the parent? Or is it the minor? And so one of the reasons I'm saying this is that one of the things that has happened is that we have been passing lots and lots of laws that hold app companies responsible for their content. Well, keep in mind, they're not posting the content, their subscribers are. And I am in no way, don't get lost here, I am in no way supporting app companies. But I want you to understand the world from their point of view. I think we need to be fair-minded as we discuss this discussion on here. What has happened is that, people like Pornhub now, in my opinion, they need to be held responsible. They ran a promotion that said you can make $40,000 a week by doing amateur pornography during a time when millions of kids are online. Well, guess what? They grew their inventory by 80%. Okay, as people are sending in wanting to be amateur porn stars and make money. And so suddenly what they found out is that 80% of their entire inventory had to be taken down because it was child pornography. So should they be held responsible? Absolutely, they should. They're the ones that ran the promotion that said send this in. And if they're going to do that to the public, they owe it to the public to look and see what kind of pornography they're going to post. And if it looks like a minor, then they need to take action. It is against the law to post child pornography. And so they have been taken down. If you don't know this, actually what happened is that we passed laws that said that if you're being violated, that we're going to hold the violated because you're on an app, that you're going to hold the app company responsible. And so therefore, they are now having to go through and look at everything on there and take it down. Well, that makes us all feel pretty good, right? Because 10 million child pornography videos, okay, 9.8, I don't want to exaggerate, but, like 80% of their inventory had to be taken down because our kids are sending it. But let's talk about this, Mom and Dad. How old is the kid and how do they get the phone and who is responsible? Because when you go on Pornhub, you sign up, I'm 18 years old, and you're not if you're giving that phone to a kid that has that app on it and you're the adult. So do you check and make sure that every app on there is in compliance? Almost no parent does that. You get an app download and you're just grateful to have the darn thing downloaded. I don't know about you, but when I see install and verify and two-step verification and no, your password isn't right, and you're like, oh my, I get it. But these kids also are technology geniuses, and they jump right in there and they know how to do it. And, but the contract for the phone is in your name. And when they hit I agree, they are agreeing they're 18 years old or they're 12 years old or they're whatever age the app says. I bet you none of you have ever printed out and read what you agreed to. Including me, by the way, holier than thou. Anyway, but you don't read the stuff. And for instance, like TikTok, you're supposed to be 12. I can tell you right now, there's a whole world of kids out there that are not 12 years old. So if your child is on TikTok and they're not 12 years old and they get violated, is it TikTok's fault? Or is it their fault? Or is it your fault because you've decided, well, they may not be 12, but they're more mature than the average 10-year-old, so I'm going to go ahead and overlook all of this. The other problem is this stuff comes with no warnings. We put more warning on a bottle of penicillin than we put on an app when we hand it to our child. We need to talk about that. Hey, we're coming up against that break again, so stay with us. This is Opal Singleton, Exploited Crimes and Technology. We will be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer. Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we are talking about when a minor gets violated online, who is responsible? The work of Million Kids is literally, we run interference. You know, parents call us when their kid is sending a naked photo and they're freaked out, and the parents get in a fight and they don't know what to do with the kid, and should they go to the police? But what if the kid gets arrested? And depending on how old the kid is, and it's a point of trauma. Absolute trauma for a family when a child ends up with sexual exploitation online. I cannot emphasize that enough, okay? It's the world that I live in, and it gets heavy sometimes, but it will change who that young person is. One of the challenges we have is that we're putting our kids online before they go through puberty. And so they're really hot at this technology, okay? They get it. They upload, download, they can send a video. You know, it takes me forever. Well, I'm now learn retransfer pro, so I'm getting better. But, it took a while, that learning curve. But these kids, it's like it's in their genes. It came with their DNA. And we're running along behind them going, you be careful on that thing now, because we can't figure all of this out. And yet they're so far ahead of us. And yet, how do we figure out how to protect them? When you put a child online, let's say they're 8 or 9, and they're getting younger and younger because of all this online learning. And I understand about COVID and like that. But I'm going to tell you, a 7-year-old, once they've been online, isn't going back to their bicycle. They want to do that video game just like their big brother. And why not? And I'll tell you why not. Because of the fact that our kids get technology, but they don't understand what adult pedophilia is. They have not been through puberty. And I always say, if you're going to put a child online that's prepubescent, you better have a big, long adult sex talk with them, because you are putting them in a world without borders and a home without walls with millions of pedophiles. Some of you know I sometimes kid, if you're gonna do that, take your kid down the strip club first and see how they hold up. I'm kidding, okay? But I want you to get it. I want you to see that these kids can understand the technology, but they don't understand. They think it's bathroom humor, and they don't understand what it's all about. So I'm going to give you a couple of cases. I've talked about these a little bit in the past, but I just want to revise your thinking since a week goes by here. Here's one right here. Twitter is once again in hot water. This time is a new lawsuit against social media giant claims that the platform not only failed to remove pornographic images of an underage sex trafficking victim, but also failed to declare the offending content to be in violation of its policies. And so they have a lawsuit going against them. That's about the only way you get their attention. Well, I'm going to back up a minute. I'm not going to defend them, but I want you to put yourself in their position. They probably have 1.5 billion users, okay? So they don't see all your content. Yes, they're getting better at developing algorithms and bots and nits, network investigative tools, so that they can start to go through it. But when you have 1.5 billion people online on your device, is it realistic to expect that they are going to see 100% of the content? No, it isn't. Okay. And that's why they have laws that you agree to that should relieve them of liability to a point. Okay. But now what is happening is and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not passing judgment. I just want you to understand the process. The laws are coming out that if a person gets violated because of something that was posted, you will be able to be sued. And that is what is going on here. Now, I'm going to tell you their reaction to this is, wait a minute. If we're going to be sued for our content, then we get a right to decide who and what content is on there. And I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. You see, we often think of these companies, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and you on and a Whisper. I can't even think of Kick and all the rest of them, Grinder and all the rest. We think of them sometimes like public utilities. We sign up with them and we say what we want. It's like going on my phone. I go on my phone, I say what I want. I'm not expecting AT&T, or in my case, Spectrum, to be listening in or to shut me off if they don't agree with what I've said. But these companies are saying, wait a minute, if you get to sue me for my content, then I get to decide my content. And they have used that capacity to go out and take down millions and millions and millions of people across the world, actually. Because they're being held responsible. In fact, I have a listing here. Nobody wants a complete ban on foreign social networks, says the Kremlin, but companies must be forced to comply with Russian rules. And this article is all about how Russia is saying it is necessary to find a middle ground between the priorities of media freedom and regulation. I'm reading this from a Russian news outlet, okay? It is necessary to find a middle ground between the priorities of media freedom and regulation. More and more life flows into it, meaning internet. The more life there is, the more rules there need to be, and there should be rules of the game for everybody, including foreign companies. That would be a U.S. company in their case, because the internet has no borders. I think you might have read my book, okay? Now, that's a Kremlin thing. And so they're telling Twitter, get this child pornography off of Twitter, or you're not going to be allowed to exist in Russia, which means that in order to do that, Twitter has to monitor every tweet. And that's not going to be easy because they're being held responsible for the content. Twitter's reaction is that I'm going to take all the people off I don't agree with and I don't like politically, because I'm going to be held for their content, and I think their thinking is dangerous. Well, they're not a public utility and they own it, so they probably should have a right to decide who's going to be on it if we set it up to be sued. Well, so let's read about Twitter is once again in hot water because they failed. Well, what happened here? This is a case out of Northern California by a young man. Twitter made money off the clips, which showed a 13-year-old male in this case. By the way, more guys send sex photos than girls and get exploited. They wouldn't believe it, but it's true. I think a lot of it has to do with video gaming, and they get in that chat room and talk smack, and they're looking and sharing a pornographic video with some guy in a chat room they don't know, and off they go. They're easy prey. Twitter made money off the clips, which showed a 13-year-old engaged in sex acts and are a form of child sexual abuse material. That's called child pornography. The teen, who is now a 17-year-old boy who's now living in Florida. By the way, several of these families have to move because photos have GPS on them. And if it goes into one of these child pornography rings that has 1 million subscribers, and yes, there are some, they can look at them and tell where you live, and they want more photos, and they want money, and some threaten to come over, and some want to have sex, and their lives become a nightmare. That's why they need you, mom and dad, to understand the severity of this without taking them by the throat and choking them, okay? Settle down now, mom and dad. We got to get a handle on this, okay? He's identified as John Doe when he was 13 to 14 years old, when sex traffickers were posing as a 16-year-old female classmate. That's exactly how it happened. And in this case, it was on Snapchat. She came in, she's hot, she's cute, he's 13, she's 16. Whoa, baby. Okay. And back and forth they go, and he is easy prey to send that thing off. So Doe and the traffickers allegedly exchanged, did you notice this, traffickers? There are large scale rings. These kids don't know they're talking to 6, 8, 9, 25 different people. Okay. Doe and the trafficker allegedly exchanged nude photos before the conversation turned to blackmail. So the photos out there, and now it comes. If the teen doesn't share more sexually graphic photos and videos, the explicit material he's already sent would be shared with his parents, with his coach, with his pastor, and others. That is exactly how it works. Think of a mouse eating cheese in a mousetrap, and bam, that baby goes off, and you're dead meat, okay? Because what happens is that the blackmail begins. Give me more photos. I want more explicit photos, and they get raunchy. I want to stop right there because we're about to come up to a break. But what I want you to see is that your child's first sexual experience may be one that is horribly unpleasant and will scar their opinion of what should be a wonderful idea for the rest of their life. Instead of having a healthy sexual perspective going into puberty and their first sexual encounter, it will be one of blackmail and fear and shame, and we must address this as our society. It is changing an entire generation of young people. My name is Opal Singleton. We're up against that break, so we'll be right back.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com, or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens. And she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.
AM 590. The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton and our organization is millionkids.org. Please hope that you will go on to our website and sign up for our insider alerts and let us know who you are and like that. And if you have it in your heart, we're a local organization. We're small but mighty. We are supported by local people. We are also supported by San Manuel and San Manuel Casino, and I so much appreciate that. We probably would never have survived COVID without their wonderful, wonderful support in that interim. So each and every one of you, we have been busier than ever this last year and unable to raise funding the way that we normally would. So I totally appreciate it. Just go to meandkids.org. I want to go back to this lawsuit here. According to the suit, the victim eventually relented and sent more explicit images and videos of himself. Pretty soon, the victim was ordered to involve other children. That is, I know that makes you sick, but that is how it goes. In the production of illegal media, an order which he complied under duress. So this is getting worse and worse and worse. And these kids cannot tell. And what they don't realize is they're like in quicksand, and they need a parent to be cool about it and help them. One of the worst things that you can do, mom and dad, especially dad to son, is look at them and start wagging your finger going, what the heck were you thinking? Okay, or something similar. Don't do that. This kid's first sexual experience has been one of incredible shame and exploitation, and they are a victim even if they did it willingly. Now, I agree they probably shouldn't have had the phone, and if they did, then they needed better instruction and somebody to spend a lot more time with them, but that's easier said than done. These photos went out, though Doe put an end to the situation by blocking the traffickers. The suit alleges that at some point in 2019, the videos show again under Twitter under two different accounts. So I want you to get the picture. 6 years late. No, let's see. 4 years later, he's now 17. He was 13. So 4 years later, the photos are still out there. They're still popping up. He cannot get rid of them. So he's now more mature. And he's 17. So the videos are being reported to Twitter at least 3 times. But the tech giant failed to do anything about it under federal law enforcement got involved. So they finally went to the police. The court records showed that Doe became aware of the tweets in January 2020 because they're widely viewed by his classmates, which subjected him to teasing, harassment, and vicious bullying and led him to become suicidal. I cannot overemphasize what is going on here. This kid is getting ready to go off to college or maybe join the military, and in his mind, he is destroyed. And there is something to that. This now is going around and round and round, and 4 years later, he can't stop it. So he goes to Twitter and says, please stop this, remove these, find them. You have the algorithm, you can do it. After filing a report with the law enforcement, he filed a complaint with Twitter itself, arguing that they needed to be removed because they're illegal, harmful, and in violation of the site's policies. And they are. This is child pornography. He is still not even an adult yet. This is still a minor fighting for his dignity, for his respect, and his sense ability of getting this stuff out the air. I want you to hear what I'm about to say real loud and clear. And if you have any teenagers in your car or your house that are listening to that, turn it up, okay? So these videos went out in 2013. He's now, when he was 13, he's now 17, and he had blocked them and blocked them and blocked them, thinking they're going away. When they sent a follow-up message to Twitter asking for the victim's identification, after receiving a single follow-up message from Twitter, Twitter is asking for the victim's ID and his family. They did not receive a response from Twitter for a week, only to be told the platform would not, let me repeat this, would not be taking down the material, which had, are you ready? Which had already racked up 160,000 views and 2,223 retweets. So if you hear nothing else and you have teenagers in your life, I want you to hear those numbers again. He was 13. He's now 17. He's begging Twitter to take them down. It is now aware that those photos have been seen by 160,000 people and resent to others over 2,223 times. Here's how Twitter responded. Thanks for reaching out. We reviewed the content and did not find a violation of our policies, so no actions needed at this time. If you believe there's a potential copyright infringement, does that just frost you? Anyway, here's what I want you to think about. We're coming to the close of this. I'm probably going to do one more show on this because it's an interesting subject with what is going on right now. If a child is violated online, even if that child is 17 years old, who is responsible? And I really want you to think long and hard. I think app companies got to be responsible, but the minute you start holding them responsible for content, then they have a right to censor anyone and everyone. They are not a public utility. They are a private organization, and we are passing laws to hold them responsible. By the same token, mom and dad, if you go on and allow a minor to download that app, then who is responsible for the minor's behavior? And that really puts you in a pickle. No more than Twitter can monitor 1.5 billion accounts. You can't follow your son or daughter around 24/7 while they're at school saying, "Let me see what you did. Let me see what you text." I get that. I really get that. This is why I think this conversation is so important. By the same token, you are putting all the chips in your kid's basket. And I tell you, some of the kids who are being violated are like straight A students. They're smart as a whip, but they don't believe it will ever happen to them. I believe the answer to this, and I'll come back. I think I'm going to do this again next week, and then we're going to have a guest after that. But I think that, part of it is that when we put a child in an adult environment, we don't explain to them how these apps work. And I have often thought that maybe we need some sort of disclaimer video before you are allowed to download the app that is 1 minute long. Sounds like the drug things, you're going to die and lose your left leg and break out in hives in all your private parts, but this thing's going to cure your ills, Anyway, you get my point. But I do think it would be important for us to explain how an app works and who it goes to. For instance, apps like TikTok, I can't even think of all of them right now, Like. You can literally have 1 million or 5 million followers. If you have 1 million people following you, 1% minimum are going to be pedophiles. That is 10,000 pedophiles. So before we put our kids in a world without borders, we'd better start giving them some instruction about how the internet's made and why somebody wants your naked photo and who are the people that want those photos and how do they operate and what are they looking from you and then how do you protect yourself? And that is what I do. Yes, there's a lot of internet safety stuff out there that's don't do this, don't do that, but it doesn't explain how the internet's made, and that's what our movie is going to be all about. Well, my name is Opal Singleton. I want one more time just to give you that number out in the desert. I don't want to flood Sergeant Teal Rena out there with calls, but if you know anything about the case of Romero Rodriguez, who was working with a case where Romero Rodriguez was thinking that he was talking to a 13-year-old and tried to meet up with him when our individuals arrested him. But we know these people that do this kind of activity, and I want to say that he's arrested, not prosecuted, so he's alleged at this point. But I do know that people that trick kids online have thousands of victims. That phone number is 760-836-1600. And just say it has to do with Romero Rodriguez. I think you asked for Julio in that case. This is Opal Singleton, and I just want to say thank you. You have no idea how tough this business can be, especially during COVID. But you guys have hung tight with us, and I so, so much appreciate you. Those individuals of you that have sent $100 or $200, and some of the foundations that have sent a lot more than that. And thank you, San Manuel Casino. I'll tell you, we would not be here without you folks. This has been the hardest year of my entire life. Hands down, no contest. But you have been true. You have been faithful. We've had more cases than we ever knew what to do with. But you have stuck by us so we can make it happen. If you'd be willing to help us, just go to millionkids.org, MILLION, millionkids.org, and hit that donate button or send us a check. We'd truly appreciate it. Hey, put your arms around your family this week. Look at your spouse. Tell them how proud you are. Look at your kids. Tell them you love them. And I'll see you next Saturday at 3 o'clock.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.